Obviously, triple barrel bluffing in a main event with 3 tables left is tough to do, and I pulled the trigger and it didn't quite work. But let's talk about it. So.
Well, I've been on the road for my first poker trip in over 4 years, and I cannot wait to share my full poker diaries with you. But for now, I'm having way too much fun, and I just can't help but share a little of my travels and the biggest hand I've played so far on this trip in a deep run in the APT main event Vietnam, where I finished 23rd out of 507 players. I first left Sydney and made my way to the WPT Cambodia, where I just missed out on making day 2 and the money, but I met some amazing new friends along the way. I then packed up and made my way to Quoc Island in the south of Vietnam for the APT, and boy, this place is paradise. There is so much to see on this island, and I am so glad that I have such a great poker life balance at the moment so that I can make the most of it. The cost of everything on this island was so affordable, and you feel like a king as you explore this beautiful and friendly island. I was fortunate enough to connect with some amazing Australian poker players on my trip who also managed to get some nice results along the way and also learn and grow in this game we all love together. To give you a summary of day 1, I cruised through it for the most part until I misplayed one of the worst hands that I can remember, which I will share in my future poker diaries, but after defuming, I managed to bring myself back to the present, where I went on a sick heater and was able to capitalize and finish with a healthy 240k from a 40k start stack. Some of my other Australian friends, Gavin, Jennifer and Bert, also put in the hard work and managed to find a bag for the day, which is so amazing to see and always a nice feeling at the end of a hard day on the felt. Day 2 I went up and down, but I eventually had a huge 200 big blind hand where I had ace queen versus queen 9 in a pot where my opponent 4-bet me pre-flop, of which I called in position to see a flop of ace queen 9, where all the money went in and I chipped up to triple average with about 100 plays to go. The rest of the day was less exciting as I struggled for opportunities, and then later in the evening, Bert did the dirty work and busted out the bubble boy to put us in the money. Day 3 is where the tournament really started to get serious. This is where it all went pear-shaped, and here's what I was thinking.
On a nice boat tour to defrag after the main event, and check out this. This is beautiful scenery right here. I thought I would rewatch the hand from the island and talk about what I was thinking. Very interesting hand, I think. It's a spot that not a lot of players would take, I think. Obviously, triple barrel bluffing in a main event with 3 tables left is tough to do. But it's good to do it in spots where you really believe in the story you're telling, and in the situation where you're holding blockers and making sure that everything makes sense. So look, for me, that kind of is what it is, and I pulled the trigger and it didn't quite work, but let's talk about it. So here we go. I get my ace jack. Looks pretty good. Hadn't had a good hand in a long time, so yeah, ace jack looked pretty good for me. I was pretty card dead for about 2 or 3 hours, and just situational dead, no good shove spots or anything. I got 440k, so it's 22 big blinds, and I could already start to feel it. I kind of felt like it was going to be a big hand. Sometimes you just kind of get that feeling in your gut, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But yeah, so we get ace jack. I open from the hijack, and only the big blind calls. And I've never played with this guy before, never seen him before. He had like a Triton jumper on, so it could mean that he's some sort of a high roller or something, or it could just mean he's a fan of poker. So he makes the call. It comes a deuce 5-8, 2 spades 1 club. It's a sort of board that definitely hits his range a bit here, but even though he has an advantage of hitting the board, I still have a lot of the overpairs and stuff in my range at this stage of the tournament, at this stage of the hand, you know, like I've opened a hijack off 22 bigs. Yeah, so I decided to still c-bet this hand just because, you know, we want to get a lot of folds from heaps of just king nines and king tens and queen jacks and things like that, and just take the hand down now. So I c-bet 40k, he makes the call. Not ideal here. Most cards I'm just going to give up on the turn. If it's any sort of low card, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, even a 9, I'm just going to pretty much just check back a lot. The turn's a queen though, and it brought 2 clubs here. So 2 clubs, 2 spades. Now I kind of have a couple of options here. Like I guess I can just check and just give up on this hand, because it's just near impossible for me to win on many river cards if I check here. But I decide that it's such a great card for my range, and at this stack depth being so shallow, I feel like he should be really believing my bet here if I follow through, because I'm going to bet here 120k, and I just feel like 120k it's like pretty much a third of my stack here, right? Like, so I feel like I should be getting a lot of respect for that bet, especially because this guy, me and this guy have never played before. So I think mostly when you don't play with someone, they probably believe you in the first instance. Obviously he's got top 2 pairs, so he's not going to be believing me. And you know, he was tanking for a while here, and I kind of felt like my read on him was that he could have just had like a pair and a flush draw, maybe like an 8x of spades type hand. Maybe he has like, I don't know, 10-6 of spades, 7-9 of spades, maybe even hands like king 3 of spades, you know, like all sorts of like weird combo flush draws, maybe straight draws to go with it. So at this point here, when he was kind of tanking and he used one of his time banks, I felt that he was a lot weaker than stronger. And look, mathematically speaking, I would say, and statistically speaking on this board, that queen, he should never really have a queen in his range unless it's like queen X of spades. So, I mean, he can't really have like queen 5, queen deuce, unless he's slow playing a set on the flop, which again, it's very rare, right? So, my heart sunk just there when he flats a turn, and now I kind of like, I mean, I'm in a spot now because I've got the ace of clubs and the 3 of clubs just peeled off on the river, which means obviously he can't have the nuts now. And I just don't know how many other combinations of club draws he could have unless it's like maybe 4, 5, 5, 6 of clubs or something like that. But I don't think he would use a time bank on the turn there with those hands. I feel like he would probably just call pretty quickly, or maybe even just move all in with his combo draw. So again, yeah, it's pretty hard to put him on a hand as strong as queen 8 here, given the information I have at that point. It's 430k in there, and I've got 240 behind. I actually thought I had 280 behind it at the river here. So I just kind of feel like it's like 12 big blinds, you know, like for me to get from 12 big blinds up, if I choose to give up here on this river, it's gonna be very, very difficult. Even if I wait for like good hands or whatever, I'm most likely gonna blind down and then get in a spot where I'm like 50-50 anyway. So I'd much rather take this spot here where my story makes complete sense, and I'm going for you know, a stack that's gonna put me on over 30 big blinds and a decent shot at this tournament. So if it wasn't a club on the river, or maybe even like a king, I'd probably bluff a king as well, and an ace I'd probably value bet, to be honest, because I never put him on 2 pair. So I have to go for it there, and yeah, I'm obviously quite disappointed, and I turned over my cards quite frustratingly. I'll admit it was a bit frustrating for me, and even though I teach all these cool mindset things and ways to keep yourself cool at the table, yeah, I definitely am human, and I felt it there, you know, because it was a deep run and big spot. So, and you're on the stream. So, anyway, so that's kind of my breakdown there. You know, I'm upset about it in the sense that actually I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed. I feel like I could have done better. You know, but I'm always like that. Like there was heaps of other bluff spots in that tournament that got through. So, you know, you live and die by the sword, and we reviewed the hand, and we feel grateful for the opportunity, and now look where I am. Can't complain. So on to the next tournament now. We're heading to mainland Vietnam in Hanoi. So let's go play that.